Serving the North State since 1858, Scott Valley Bank is proud to support original local programming, including the Forum on KIXC. Scott Valley Bank, member FDIC.
I'm Karen Hoyt, Marketing Director at Shasta Regional Medical Center, and we're proud to be part of the conversation that the Forum at KIXC is bringing to our community. Shasta Regional has been around for more than 60 years supporting our community, and we would like to invite you to be a part of the Forum on KIXC. Together, we can support the community that gives us back so much. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Forum. I'm your host, Christy Largent. Today we have a guest host with us today, as Ashley's not here, but Rick Kern.
Hi.
Very nicely stepped in to join.
Very nice to be here.
And we have an awesome guest. We are so fortunate today that we've got Robert Strazzarino. Those of you in Reading, I have to say this, Robert, those of you in Reading probably recognize that name and you're like, Strazzarino, that rings a bell. Yes, his father is the...
President of the Chamber of Commerce.
That's right.
Yep.
And so, of course, we know and love Frank. But today we get to talk to Robert, who Frank would probably brag to you. He has bragged to me a zillion times about Robert. And now you're going to get to hear why firsthand, because he is an entrepreneur extraordinaire. He's built a huge organization, and we're going to hear all about it. So tell us, the name of the company is Student Scheduler.
It's College Scheduler.
College Scheduler.
Yes.
And
yes.
Tell us exactly, how did you get started with this, and just what is College Scheduler?
Yeah, basically it helps students plan their class schedule at universities all over the country. So, to put it simply, the student can put in, I want these 5 classes next semester. I can't take class at this time, or I have an athletic practice. Click a button, and every possible open schedule will come up right in front of them. They can compare them side by side, look through them, find the perfect one, click a button, and then go send it to the registration system and register.
Now, do they give you class overrides? Like, if say a class fills up and then somebody drops out, and you wanted that time slot, would it notify you that time slot's now available?
Well, the students basically, they need to register at their time, right? They only get to register on one day. Students basically, they have a registration window.
Right.
So our software is getting up to the minute seat information all throughout the day. So constantly we're streaming in the latest class availability, and when students are generating, it's showing them right now, this is what's available right now, not what you planned for 2 weeks ago on pen and paper. So we take that pain out of and that stress from registration time away.
You don't have to go get an override card to...
An override card? No, they don't do those anymore.
They don't it shows you how long it's been since I've been there.
Yeah, you're laughing. Do you know what an override card is?
Oh yeah, I've heard the administrators like to tell me stories of registering in the gym, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
You're going to the gym, there's all the classes, they got their cards, and they're crying when they don't get their class, and luckily we don't have to deal with that today.
Yeah, so how did you come up with this idea, and when did you start the business, and how has it grown?
So my sophomore year, I was a student at Chico State, and this was 2003. And I was just making my schedule by hand, and I said, you know what? There's got to be a better way to do this. There's 10 different classes of U.S. history, 10 classes of econ, 10 classes of music. That's 1,000 possible schedules, just right out of the gate, and that's only 3 classes. So even at a mid-sized university, when you're taking 5 classes, you just can't look up every combination and possibly figure it out. You're just going to sell yourself short. You're going to mess with it for an hour and say, this is good enough.
Yeah.
So our software enables you to look at every possibility, and what it can do is it actually helps the students find the classes they need, and we see that institutions see an increase in credit hours. So students are actually taking more units because it's just a couple clicks and they can find a complete schedule with the classes.
Find the classes that are there and available for them, for their major and what they want to do.
Exactly.
So like you mentioned econ, it was Econ 1, Econ 2. Now I guess they call it macro and micro economics.
Right, there's all sorts of them.
So like if I've already got my Econ 1 or my micro econ and I want to take micro 2 and there aren't any classes available, will that fill in for find me an Econ 2 that I could take?
Well, if there's an available section, absolutely. I mean, if there's an offering at Econ 2 and you're scheduling your classes, it's going to find it for you. It's not going to be one of those deals where, you build a whole schedule, you get to the end and there's only one offering of
yeah.
econ and it doesn't work with what you just built, that's a problem. You got to tear it all down and start
Right.
from scratch. That's what most students have to do. But our customers, the student can just click a button and it'll rearrange everything.
And set your, well, that would be so easy. That
It's
would be
nice.
so easy because the classes fill up in a hurry.
Yep.
And a lot of people sign up for classes, and then a week into the class, they go, oh, this doesn't work with my schedule, so they drop out. Well, then you have to take your override. In my day, you had to take your override card in and go, here, I went in that class. And, you know,
all
then
computerized.
if you were the first on the saddle, you were the one that got to ride the horse.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that's literally, that's just the way they put it.
So how did you go
this takes
from
care of that.
you needed some? You said I need a computer program to do this. So
Right, right.
you went back to your room and wrote a computer program.
Yeah, I mean, so I
amazingly.
took it in stages, right? The first thing
Right.
I needed was the scheduling data, right? It's on the Chico State's website. So I wrote software that would download all the web pages every night and take out all the times and instructors and put them in a spreadsheet. It's actually a database.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I started messing around with, okay, there's 5 offerings of this and 5 offerings of this. These don't conflict, so I should get 25 possible schedules. Oh, I'm not? Okay, let's tweak the code. And it's an oversimplification, of course, but basically, over the course of that year, I developed the initial version of the software and put it out there for free for the students. And then by my senior year, over half the students were using it.
Wow.
Advisors were using it. I ran track at Chico State, so I knew the athletic advisors were using it.
Yeah.
So at that point, I approached the administration and said, hey, I'm going to graduate soon. I want to start a company. How about you be my first customer? No setup fee.
Yeah.
And they took it.
So Chico State was your first client.
Yep.
And they purchase the program, and then they make it available for their entire student body.
That's correct.
Faculty, everybody uses it.
That's correct. So an institution purchases the software. They pay a yearly fee based on the size of the institution. And then the students, they just go into their portal. Let's say you're a student at Ohio State. You go into your Ohio State Student Center, click a button that says Schedule Planner, and in a pop-up, our software is being delivered. So we're hosting it. The university doesn't have to do anything.
Wow.
Student uses it. It's got the colors and the logo. So the student's just like planning their schedule in Ohio State software.
Right. That's
basically.
a benefit of being an Ohio State student is that this program is offered
Yeah.
for them.
Absolutely, because it can help
Yeah.
you graduate faster.
Oh, yeah, this would be a fantastic program for students. I mean, I can see so many benefits for this compared to, like I said,
old
The
school.
old
The
way.
old way.
Yeah,
Old school,
and another
yeah.
like kind of hidden benefit is that all the administrators can log in and see reports of what students are planning for. Okay, so now you've got the situation where a week before registration, they can see, wow, we got 400 students that want Econ 101, but only 200 seats. And so they can take action, say, well, let's open up some more sections of Econ
Right.
so we can handle this demand.
Right.
But if your students are planning on pen and paper,
yeah,
you're not
you
going to
can't do
even
that.
know about that demand.
So it's
No.
actually ends up being a revenue generator for the schools because they're able to offer appropriate classes and support for their students.
Yeah, the main thing is just getting students through the system faster and getting them to graduate. It's a
Right.
Yeah.
problem all over the country. Students getting that 5th and 6th year.
Yeah.
And by, it could have been possible for them to graduate faster, but they couldn't find the schedule
Right,
because
that's
there's
what
just
I've
too
heard. Mm-hmm.
many options. So it's all about getting more out of the classes you're already offering.
So how have you grown?
So we've got a lot of growth recently. So in 2013, we started the year at 43 institutions and ended at 82.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Double.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah?
a big year. So we're staffing up. Got a great team in Chico, and just getting ready for the next wave of growth. We got a lot of schools implementing right now. We're building new software.
Yeah.
We're coming out with some really exciting new stuff that we'll be releasing later this year. And
How are you finding clients? How do you sell to the schools?
trade shows primarily. So we sell to registrars, for example. There's a national registrar show. There's a regional registrar show. And so we went to 55 trade shows
Wow.
last year.
Did
as a
you go
company.
personally?
I went to 8.
Okay.
Some of the most, one of my employees, Mike, he went to 31 shows himself.
Wow.
So they work hard. I mean,
Yeah.
this is not easy to go to 31
No.
separate trips.
No.
And my other 2 salespeople work really hard as well. But we, like I said, we had 55 separate shows, probably spent about $300,000 going to those shows total.
Yeah.
And it's the best way of getting in front of the administrators, shaking
Right.
hands, and just educating them on what we're doing.
Right.
We have a stat that 25% of the schools that we do a demo with end up signing up.
Oh, that's good.
So
that's pretty high.
What that tells you is we need to get more demos, right?
Sure.
So that's what we do. We go to the trade shows, and just once people see it, they understand it. We've kind
Right.
of created this market from scratch.
Well, I would think that administrators see this program and go, gee, this is so neat. And like you said, you can set up your classes, and if you need a change in a class, you can do it, and the administrator can click on it just like that.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
It does make it a lot easier. It's kind of one of those things you're like,
Yeah.
Why
wasn't
didn't
this done
anybody
before?
else think of
That's
this?
how a lot
Yeah.
of things start, right?
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
you're doing something and you say,
A need?
what am I doing here?
Right.
There's got to be a way to
Now,
do
as an
it.
entrepreneur, what have you learned? I mean, you've grown, you're still in Chico, right?
Yep.
And you're
Love
growing your
Chico.
company, you're expanding. If somebody thought, gosh, I want to start a business, what advice would you give them? Yes, that like this worked awesome, and then maybe some advice of what you could avoid.
You know, half of the battle is just believing in yourself. You know, you think, oh man, it's gonna be so hard to start a company, and you know, you just have to start. You know, you just have to, if you have an idea, just learn how to code a little bit, or find some people that know how to code, partner up, share equity with them. Some of the things I struggled with at the beginning, I didn't really know about trade shows. We were just cold calling administrators.
Wow.
And that's a pretty tough job, especially when it takes 12 months to get a university to sign up. So
Right.
I had trouble getting my salespeople to stick with it, and it wasn't till I hired Haley, who I met in the dorms at Chico State. She did radio sales for a couple years. She got on the ground, started selling, almost doubled the company her first year.
Wow.
But back to the entrepreneur thing, you
Yeah.
know, you do, every time we reach a new level, I'm like, yeah, we can do this, you know, and at some point you just realize, yes, that
Yeah.
can be me. I
That
can be that
belief
person.
I can do
keeps
that.
growing
But
and
you have
growing.
to believe in yourself, and it's a learned skill. It's definitely a learned skill.
Now you have a kind of a unique thing in that you have never taken any money from investors.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
So that will definitely, your company won't grow as fast in the beginning, right? But it lets me make the decisions I want to make without having to check with anybody. I obviously check with my team. You know,
Right.
we make decisions as a group.
Right.
We're all 30 years old or younger. 6 out of the 8 people are Chico State grads. I hire
Wow.
right from the institution. Great skills, very personable. They're great. I wouldn't, you know, hire from anywhere else, really. But yeah, it's one of those things where you just want to find a good team and trust your team.
Yep.
You know, I'm here. They're in Chico running the company right now.
Right.
You know,
right.
that's the important
And
thing.
you stuck through it and went through the really hard times.
Definitely some hard times.
Working
you know.
3 jobs to pay for putting money into your business.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Had a bunch of projects going on the side. You know,
Yeah.
it's all about, you know, yes, you can eat top ramen if you really want to,
Yes.
but you know, you should probably get another
Yeah.
source of revenue in so you're not scraping.
What is, how many schools are you in right now? Because we're wrapping up.
Yeah, 83 total. 83 total. Some of the big name institutions, you know, Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin-Madison, University of Alabama. We've got a number of community colleges, private
Good.
institutions,
We,
public.
we need you in the UC
Yeah.
The UC.
Really
Yeah.
Come
need you in
on,
that
anyone
UC.
out there that know the UC?
UC.
We got a local entrepreneur.
Come on.
Let's
Cal
get it
State.
in there.
They need to be in the Cal State program.
Robert, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
coming on. We
Absolutely.
appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having me. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for watching the forum. We'll be back with a little bit more in just a minute.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a good one.
Well, you're back for the second half of the forum, and this half we've got Kim Presley, just like Elvis. Kim Presley is here from Wairika, and she's here to talk to us about the Liberty Arts Gallery, which is a contemporary fine art gallery in our very own Wairika. If you can imagine a contemporary gallery in Wairika, I mean, it almost seems like an oxymoron. I'm sorry, but it just kind of feels fun, but then I look at your website, I'm like, holy cow, this place is awesome.
It is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So tell us, and tell us, how did you get started, and how long has it been there, and tell us about it.
Well, we opened in May of 2008. We've been there over 5 years now, and it was a collaboration with the city manager and a group of about 40 people in the community that wanted to see a community gallery. It's kind of an art space, we call it, because it's not what you think of as a retail gallery. You don't go in really to buy something for someone's gift, although the art is for sale in most cases. We have 9 exhibitions every year, and they are member selected. We're a nonprofit.
Yeah.
We have about 250 members, and every August we have a members meeting. Everyone's invited, and about 30 to 40 people actually show up. And that's the time that if you want to see an exhibition at the gallery, you need to get everyone's support. So
You mean
throughout
if
the
you
year,
want to do an exhibition, or if you want to see an exhibition?
if you want to do an
You
exhibition,
want to do an exhibition at the gallery, yeah.
I often have people come in, they look around and say, wow, you know, my husband does really great charcoal work. Could he do something at the gallery? And I say, maybe, come in August.
Come in August
And
and find
so maybe she shows up in August with everyone else that has an idea for a show. And we encourage people to bring PowerPoint or slideshow, something so that the people in the audience can get an idea of what the vision is for this show. And we have those large Post-its on the wall for brainstorming. We have those into categories of invitationals or open call or getting an artist from outside the area, because we want to have the type of exhibitions be spread out a little bit. But at any rate, during that meeting, we write down the ideas. And we get 20 to 30 ideas, and then everyone in attendance gets 6 stickers. And they get to stick the ones that seem most exciting.
That's the way they vote for who they want to.
Yeah, and you can't use your 6 on one. You have to spread them out,
Yeah.
and then we really can see trends. I mean, you can, from the very beginning of people sticking, realize this show is really exciting. Everybody wants to do this show.
Yeah.
And that's the way we develop our calendar for the next year. So we know what's coming, we know how to plan, and we have, like I said, 9 shows a year. One of those shows is always a member show, and there's no theme to that. Every member can bring one thing, whether it's to recite poetry, or if it's a quilt, or if it's ceramic or oil, whatever.
Sculpture or
Whatever.
photography, or
Yep.
do you do like video shows and things of that nature?
We
also,
have
or-
not done a specific video show. We've talked about it, but it wasn't voted in because we really couldn't figure out how to have that many monitors and how to really
Yeah.
pull it off to be exciting. But we will, I bet. We've
Yeah.
had 50 different shows, and
Wow.
they have been.
You have quite a variety. You have
Yeah.
a really nice big spread there.
It's
And
not as
every time
big
you
as
come
it
in, it's gonna
looks.
be different. I mean, you have 9 shows a year, so every time you come in, you're going to have a different show.
Right. Yeah. Every 6 weeks, it's a new show.
That's fantastic. And who curates each show?
Well, whoever had the great idea is the curator. So that gives a great opportunity and a great responsibility. But we have great staff support. We can create the postcards, the graphics, write the PR, do everything that needs to be done. And we kind of sit back to see how involved the curator wants to be. We've had people come in and they have everything written out just the way they want it. They've designed their postcards. They have their own mailing list in addition to our member list. They're very, very organized and want that control. And then sometimes we have people that have a great idea and they're willing to work.
What if
You
I'm
just-
an artist like in New York and I want to come in? Are they eligible to come in, or because you say
Yeah.
you're from
Yeah.
all over?
Well, we haven't had any members from
From
New
New
York
York.
come to
That-
pitch
that
a
might be a
show,
little bit on the extreme
but we
side,
have
but-
had artists from New York in shows.
Yeah.
Because we post for the open call shows,
Yeah.
the non-invitational shows, we will post what we call the call. And it will be, we're having, this was a funny one, you mentioned what you think about being in Wairika and what we have. And so we kind of did want one time to open this up to maybe the people in Wairika that don't want to go to a contemporary art gallery. And so we had the horse show, anything horse.
Wow.
So that did bring a lot of people in with horse photography, horse sculpture, paintings, things I didn't really know about. Ralph Dillon is a fabulous, there's a name for this, but he weaves the rawhide into the
Oh,
reins
wow.
and stuff. But I mean, he's like a master at it. And the art that he brought in that was functional horse equipment was on display, was fabulous. And so
Wow.
in that case, that's an open call. We tell everybody anything horse.
Yeah.
And we ask them, can you send us a JPEG over the internet to submit?
Submit your.
Because everything can't be in the show. And this depends on how many people come in, how specific the curator is in that vision. In the horse show example, I think we were able to take everything that was submitted. That was great. Sometimes we can't, and now because of the internet and some of the better ways we have of broadcasting the information for the call, we do get from New York or different places artists who submit.
Well, there's some
Wow.
tremendous artists in Wairika.
There are.
I mean, there's the people that you wouldn't normally think of. There's a gentleman up there that makes fantastic dulcimers, and a lot of people don't
yeah.
even know what a dulcimer is.
Dan.
Yeah, and I mean, he does. I'm sure
Instrument, dulcimer.
Yeah.
And, you know, interestingly, that's going to be at Turtle Bay in the next
His
few months.
dulcimers.
The
Oh, really?
dulcimer.
Yeah.
It's like they have a. Right now in January, we're taping this in January. There is a dulcimer on display right when you come in to sign in at the sign-in
at the
guest, and
door.
it could be he's from Wairika.
He is.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just
Yeah.
up the street from me.
You have all this exciting stuff going on in the gallery itself, but I understand you guys do quite a bit out in the community, and you invite the community in. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Was that with your education program?
Well, we are open. The gallery is staffed from Wednesday through Saturday, 10 till 5. But on Tuesdays, we are open only to school classes, and we run a program called Explorations, and it's a 60 to 75-minute visit, depending on school schedules. And the students come into the gallery, they sit on the floor, and we introduce them to the show. We explain what this is about. We give them some context as to what to understand. And then we pick some of the pieces out and tell a story about them. Sometimes it's the process. How did he make this? And we talk about that. Or maybe we look at why did he make it, and we talk about that. The students get to walk around then individually and explore the art. And then the best part's coming back together. If we have time, we do some assessment, talk about it.
and find out what the artist was feeling when they did it, and how the students feel about
That's
what
the
they were
important
doing.
part. Now, as we ask
Now-
them, what do you think? And you know, we try to help them instead of just saying, "I don't get it," or
Right.
Yeah.
"I like it." To finish the sentence, "I don't get it because I don't like those colors," or "I like it because the shapes are really strong." To start to give them some vocabulary about art.
Yeah.
That's an important thing. But then we always finish the session with a hands-on art project. And that is really great. Go to our website and look at the explorations. We just have some really successful art projects with the kids. You were mentioning something before about the typewriter. I have to share this real quick. We had a junior high class come during a show that was called Speak and Be Heard. And this was a word show. That was the open call, art about words. And we got some really great stuff. One of them, not on a tangent, a woman made a chair that was paper mache'd with the obituaries of everyone that she knows that had died. And she just keeps putting them on, and it sounds so morbid, right?
Wow.
It was black and white. It was the most amazing, cool chair. Because you don't really know any of these people, but you wanted to read what you could about them, and it was just a wonderful chair. We had poetry, we had all kinds of different things you can imagine in a word show. But one of the things on display was an old typewriter, just this old turquoise blue typewriter. And we had these 7th grade kids all in there, and the boys asked, "Can we touch it?" We're like, "Well, yeah. Can we press it?" And they've grown up with keyboards. Way before we knew about keyboards, they did not know how hard you have to press the key. They were standing in line to press the keys on a typewriter. All this art around. They
What
loved
did they
it.
think when the thing went click instead
They
of just
loved
being
it.
quiet
They
and
just
showing up?
loved it. They loved it. And then we didn't know, gosh, we only have 20 minutes. What's our project going to be? So we took some playing cards, and with mailing labels, we put random words on the cards. And we had 5 decks of these cards. And we played poetry poker, where you pass out and you get your 7 cards you can trade in if you want, but you got to make a poem out of your 5 cards you keep.
Oh,
And I thought, oh man, the first class is a 7th grade class. This is going to be tough. And the teacher first thing told me, she says, "And we're really boy heavy. We only have like 6 girls and the rest are guys." And I thought, oh man, and the poetry thing's what we're doing. They were so good. They loved it. We had a little stage with a microphone, and they all lined up. Just they wanted to get up there and they wanted to perform and to read their poetry. And see, those are the
fantastic.
things you wouldn't normally think about that come about.
Well, and that's what you're doing in your community,
Yeah.
is you're creating a world of arts for these children who will never look at a poem a different way. Your website, give us your website address.
It's libertyartswairika.org.
And there's a ton of information on the
Yes, we
website,
do
so
have a lot
people
of
can
stuff.
really, if you want to go libertyartswairika.org, you'll get a ton of information there. Thank you for all that you're doing. It's a wonderful
wonderful.
addition to the community, and I think that you'll be having people wanting to come up from down below
below, yeah.
to head up.
very
Now, where are
easy.
you located in Wairika?
Right off of I-5, the central Wairika off-ramp.
Mm-hmm.
Go west for a block. There's a stoplight, and we're in the first block.
Okay, that's pretty easy to,
is
to
easy.
get
Grandma's
to. and-
restaurant, and you're right there.
Yeah, and we have a big sign that says Liberty Art, and the sign itself is art.
A work of art.
It has over 700 marbles
Oh,
inside of it. Is
fantastic.
stainless steel that's been water cut, and it glows from inside.
Gorgeous.
That's
Really nice at night.
Kim, thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
coming.
having me.
Rick, thanks for co-hosting.
Well, thank you
We've
for
had
having
another
me.
great event here at the Forum. Thanks for watching.
Serving the North State since 1858, Scott Valley Bank is proud to support original local programming, including the Forum on KIXE. Scott Valley Bank, member FDIC.
I'm Karen Hoyt, Marketing Director at Shasta Regional Medical Center, and we're proud to be part of the conversation that the Forum at KIXE is bringing to our community. Shasta Regional has been around for more than 60 years supporting our community, and we would like to invite you to be a part of the Forum on KIXE. Together, we can support the community that gives us back so much. Thank you.